Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. Oh look, a pen. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Colonel Cookins. I'll be back with you in a minute.
And while he's doing that, like I said, welcome back to Trekyards. I think I said that already. But yeah, I'm still Captain Foley though.
Stuart, do you want a margarita?
Oh yes, it's time, isn't it?
Okay.
Extra salt, please.
Nah, I'll make it a triple. We're not condoning alcohol because it's synthahol, but Stuart, we're talking about because now we're in work time. But you know what? Trekyards is work and play at the same time. It's very confusing. We're talking about buffer time, the MacGuffin of this episode in a sense, the thing that the catalyst, I should say. It's caused a bit of it, people discussing it online. This idea. What was your take on what it is, why it is, and how it is?
Okay, it's basically now called the Boimler effect. It's basically Scotty's rule for how to appear to be a miracle worker. Overestimate or multiply your repair estimates by a factor of 4-ish, and when you get them done in record time, you'll look like you just performed a miracle. Yeah. So yeah, you got to overestimate the time it takes to do things so that you have some wiggle room. You don't want to push yourself. You don't want that deadline. You don't want that ticking clock.
Well, that's the thing. We say that, and yet obviously when Geordie, the ship's about to blow up in 65 minutes, like in those situations, they work to the deadline. They're not going to add extra 10 minutes of tea break, but it's the mundane stuff. It's the UPS conduits. It's the whatever. And Geordie has also said, I'll do it in, give him a little bit over time. These concepts have been around since TOS. So why are some people complaining about this is very on Starfleet to have time? Now, obviously, showing them drinking on the job, literally drinking on duty, although I guess Picard also drank on duty, so, except he's the captain of the ship. Like, it's more how they showed it rather than what they showed, because this has been a thing. It's just they do it way more blatantly, and then it's sort of the way they show it, the team, like they're going to take the next 2 hours off, and you shouldn't take 2 hours off in a 6-hour, 7-hour shift.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, it's something that people can relate to. Everyone can relate to this in any kind of job they've done. You can get things done quickly, efficiently, proficiently, and then say I'm done to the boss, and he's like, all right, here's another assignment. There's a lot of make your own work kind of assignments where you keep yourself busy, but you leave that buffer room, that time, to kind of take a break in between your tasks and not really be taking a break. Make it look like you're busy is what it's called usually. When your boss comes by, you look like you're busy at your desk. So you don't get assigned more tasks. I think everybody's done it. I certainly have.
Because I've always been self-employed pretty much, or work for a direct guy who I'm filming with, so I've never done this. I always work, for fan films, I don't look as if I'm busy to myself and then, oops, I missed a deadline. I mean, I don't, I can't afford to do that. It doesn't make sense, because the sooner it's done, the sooner it's done. But I can certainly understand other people doing it. Because what was interesting about the episode is that when you take away all of the time around the time, they're given very simple tasks of maintenance. And for me, the implication was if it only takes an hour to repair something, and you're given 50 minutes to be more efficient, because you can push yourself, right? And if you say you take an hour and a half, well, you do all your tasks of the day in two-thirds of the time, and then there's only so many tasks, especially as most days on a Starfleet ship are either travelling at warp, end of sentence. They don't do very much. And so most tasks are fix this, repair this, realign this, but there's also 100, 200, 300 people. Most of the tasks are just maintenance, and at the end of the day, you don't need to be maintenanced, 3 times a week. You can probably manage once a week.
The problem too is you need to make work. You can't have people on duty that are just sitting around doing nothing, because then it's like they are basically on their off time.
We make that joke about being at warp and just engage and they're just sitting there. Yeah.
It's fine. You need to have little things for people to do to keep them occupied, because otherwise you get bored really quick. You fall asleep. The maintenance is just make work stuff generally. Yes, it does benefit the ship and whatnot over the long run, but unfortunately that's one of the problems. You don't want a whole shift full of personnel that are basically doing nothing.
We also know from even Star Trek Beyond, people get kind of stir crazy. It's the same day, the same life, the same ship, the same walls, and he may visit a planet every 2 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
But not everybody goes down to the planet either.
Yeah, most don't, and the shore leave thing is very important. So it's not just that, but if you had to work on the same nonsense tasks, as in, I've realigned the phaser conduits 14 times this week, they're not going to be any more aligned, So if you have time between to chat to people, it makes the monotony of living the same day different.
You're describing most jobs, though. Most cubicle-based office jobs. You do the same shit day in, day out, every day of the week, and you wonder why people get so frustrated and upset with their jobs. Did you get the TPS reports? Did you get the TPS report referring to the old TPS report? Did you get the memo for the meeting? Did you go to the meeting that could have been a memo? Yeah, it's just... Even those jobs are making work just to have their employees have something to do.
It's, as a creative that makes things... I literally can't relate to this when you really break it down. I've never done this.
I've been in some shit jobs over the course of my life, and I totally...
Because in my line of work, the quicker I'm done, the more time I can take off, or choose to work on the next project quicker, get them quicker, get the money quicker, and then have more time off. Because I tend to take like a bulk of time off, and then I work for 3 weeks straight without taking any day off, apart from dinners and lunches, whatever. And then I take 4 days off, hands down. So work-life balance.
Most jobs, though, the quicker you get things done, the more assignments you get, because as soon as you get something done, your boss is like, oh, you need something to do. Here, do this. That's why this buffer time is important, because yes, you could take a job that takes 2 hours and stretch it to 4, just so you're like, got a bathroom break, you go to get a coffee, you go chat with somebody at the water cooler for a couple minutes. You take the time to meander through the task so you don't get assigned more work.
That's where at the end, because that sounds awful, you're describing a terrible worker who doesn't do a good job, but that's at the end where the captain said, but it's up to the discretion of the people, because these people have been brought on to be good at their job. So if they say, okay, a good officer who believes in this routine of let's stretch things out just because I can, won't stretch things out beyond the stupid, because otherwise they're just being a bad officer. It's like, it could take an hour, I'll make it take an hour and 50 and do it carefully, slowly, methodically, and not be so stressed. Because if you say just, because the way you imply is just like, I don't want more work, I'll do it slowly, and therefore just being a bad worker. But if it's more, I know what I'm doing, I know I can get this much done today, properly, effectively, concisely, and not burn myself out. It's that balance of knowing yourself, knowing your job. That's why they're being there.
And the problem is you're getting paid the same regardless of how quick you do the thing, pretty much. Sometimes you get bonuses. Sometimes you have that hope for promotion. So you hustle a little bit, you make an impression. But if you've been in a job for 6 years, there's no room for advancement. You're just doing the same shit all the time. You're going to get paid the same regardless. That's what's going to happen. You're just going to basically do the minimum that's required. That's a bad way.
I think that's why it's hard to watch in Star Trek, because you're not getting paid. The payment is the satisfaction, the improvement of yourself, improvement of your own skills, and you should want to do the job as quickly as possible. But whereas in an office, you might be a good typer, but there's 15 people around you that have the exact same skill set in what you're doing. Whereas if you're a scientist, you have a unique skill set being hired for with a speciality. You're doing your specific task well. Okay, sure, you might have a transporter technician who just fixes the transporter. Yes, you might have the technicians, but normally, just like we've seen with Rutherford, he effing loves his job. He's passionate. So it's different in Star Trek. So I think the balance they probably showed was a little bit off.
I think it's an exaggeration because it's a satire cartoon kind of thing. But yeah.
But yeah, Scotty, he's so good that he knows he can do it quicker, and lies to his captain on a daily basis. It's a weird old situation, but if you burn people out, and I'm glad I remember this near the end. The best analogy I think is more of a CPU processor, right? It runs at a base clock, base speed, base efficiency. You can overclock it to work to its potential, but it will heat up, and obviously you've got good cooling, and these things don't burn out. In the logistical sense, it's not going to burn out in a day if you overclock it. You can if you literally burn it, like push it well beyond. But the lifespan of the PC, the CPU, will be a lot lower if you overclock all the time, especially if you're really hard overclocking. And so you're getting the best balance of power efficiency is staying at the normal clock, or have it be internally, which is again a good comparison. It internally can overclock certain tasks where it knows it can, and then declock down when it doesn't need it. And that balances it really well. And so an officer you can burn them out. They'll be less efficient or less useful. So you just keep them. They know what they can do when and where and how and who. And obviously, if they enjoy the task, they do it better and quicker. You know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about my analogy there?
No, that's great. I never really considered that before, but I mean, and it's the same in like an office environment. I hate to bring that up again, but if there's a deadline, yeah, you hustle, you get things done. The reason I procrastinate is because I can still get everything done that I need to get done. You know, if I need a thing done in an hour, I'll have it done in an hour. No sense doing it 3 days ago, which would make the most amount of sense. You do it 3 days ago, you got more time for other stuff, so that when it's time for that to come, you know. Unfortunately, that's just the way a lot of people work.
It depends what job it is. You know, if you're on a film set, you're not going to take 6 hours to light a set when you need it in 3, and the actors aren't going to waste 6 hours of acting time. People, you know, there are but whereas an accountant who's got 6 months isn't going to necessarily want to do it in 2 days. He might do it in 3 weeks. Like, it would have been nice in the scene if rather than mojitos, they'd like gone to a science lab and like looked at stuff. You know, done something more productive. So it's like time off, like they're enjoy or go to holodeck and like do a sparring thing. You know, something a bit more creative and fun rather than just not do anything.
I mean, I just love the buffer time thing because I can totally relate to it, and I think 98% of the population can probably relate.
Who work in those jobs?
Yes.
Yeah, I doubt James Cameron would agree with you there. He would not relate to you either.
Wow. I mean, even people who don't work in those kind of jobs and just have home tasks to do, like chores and stuff, sometimes don't always hustle to get it done. So I think everybody can relate in some way to this kind of buffer time for yourself. Whether it takes an extra 30 seconds to walk up the stairs just because you just need a little bit of a breather.
That's more of a symbolic buffer time because there is no deadline. You know, in the same way that there aren't stakes involved, there aren't, you know, a superior saying, you know, your husband or wife isn't saying, right, I need the floor, you know, washed by 4.
Well, if you have guests coming over, there's your deadline.
Yeah, but in symbolically, yeah, burning yourself out is a problem, and it was a mistake quickly. Although, and you know, back to TNG, and I think I didn't mention it yet, but Riker's birthday is an episode. It's not called that, but Riker's birthday is an earlier episode. And it's played oddly, and we've said this a few times, we do see people not in uniform in 10 Forward, which is the bar. And a bar is where you take time off. But there are enlisted people on the ship, so there are people that don't have a whatever. But we normally see our crew members in uniform in a bar drinking, relaxing, chatting, and it feels very social. But in the episode with Riker's birthday, he's called literally in the middle of a party with like 15 people onto a mission. And no one plays off as like a darn, it's like this is what you do. So is he on duty having a party? And if he's off duty not having a party, then they could have waited into either his next shift or give him half an hour for his party, call him off duty, into duty to do a thing that's not time sensitive. Feels like a dick move by Picard.
But like we said too, though, what happens after you say engage? You're at warp 6. It's going to take you 8 hours to get to your destination. What do you do as a commander? Sit in the commander's chair and do nothing? No, you wander around the ship. You go talk to your department heads. Sure, somebody says, hey, we got a surprise for you in 10 Forwards. Swing by. We know it's your birthday. You're still on duty, but you got 8 hours to walk around the ship and go talk to the department heads. So you got time to... So yeah, it's hard to say exactly how their lives play out.
Yes,
in Starfleet.
This episode, I think, shone a light that the idea of on duty is a much more flexible thing. Just like a surgeon, he's on call.
Cutting for the very first time.
Exactly. You know, he might get called to come in at 2 a.m. because he's the best guy to do his job, and he might not like it. But he's not allowed to complain because that's his job. But also, he might be able to be in the office cafeteria for an hour, just hanging out if he's not got an operation for a bit. So I think the idea of on shift, like, it would be weird if Riker was if like his communicator was disabled between the hours of 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. Like,
I don't think that happens on a ship.
Yeah,
as the senior staff, you need to be always on call.
It's different with senior versus obviously ensigns. That's obviously a distinction.
Yes.
But I kind of like the idea that you've got like a 12-hour day. But you've got certain tasks to finish, and you've got you can take a lunch break, but you can get a lunch 2 hours and take it as much as you want around the day as long as you get your tasks done. And therefore, people in uniform in 10 Forward, they might just want to go for a long 2-hour lunch break or 5 p.m. break because there's always work to do and there's always something to do. But just having it be 9 to 5 feels odd.
That's the other thing. Yeah, during an 8-hour workday, you get lunch break. You get your other breaks during the day. Like there's mandatory breaks you need to, like a government order that you have to be able to take. So he could have been Riker could have been down in 10 forward on his lunch break, and Picard was like, he said to Data, we got to hurry or we're going to miss the thing. It could have been the lunch break period.
Except they were all there except Picard. So you shouldn't give entire senior staff lunch break at the same time, because if there's an emergency, etc., etc. But that's why it's just confusing but interesting. So I kind of like that flexibility, because like you said, if they're also not trying to do their tasks as quick as possible, most people, then the long day is actually quite long, and so don't think of it as like all day. We saw them working every minute of every day. It killed them, basically, almost killed them. So this more flexible sense, I mean, if you're sat, especially if you're sat at your console in Deck 8 science room, are you really doing 9 hours every day or 7 hours shift, just data crunching, and then boom, day off, like time off? What if you love your job? You might, not sleep in, but
those are the variables. A lot of times, not doing anything makes the day go way, way longer. Keeping yourself busy makes it go quicker. Other times, not so much. Sometimes you look at the clock, you think 2 hours passed, it's been half an hour.
And what if the holodeck, is only bookable between, 2 and 4, and you want to do your, Shakespeare thing? I mean, who's to say that Data, and when they did the Data and Picard's shifts actually co-aligned? Maybe, they just took their break and did it during the shift. Because, they can, but then again, what if they get attacked by Klingon bird of prey? But obviously it's like if they're at warp, probably the idea of 15 hours to destination, the idea of shift is more flexible. Whereas obviously if you're in a dangerous situation, everyone stays at their posts, and you need that flexibility to do it properly.
Anyway, lots to discuss and think about with the buffer time thing. So,
but it's interesting, Stuart, because it actually made the universe of Trek more full. Even though it's a typical way, it's shown a light on a thing that obviously existed. It had to have. We've seen it. Like if Troy's never out of her uniform and she eats chocolate, is she eating chocolate on the job? Maybe. Yeah.
So when you see the people strolling through the hallway in TNG now, you're thinking, they're just on their way to, they're just killing some time. They went for a 15-minute stroll. They're going back to the lab now.
Which is one of the jokes. I mean, we've often said, why are they walking so slowly between places? Always happens in TNG, and they made a joke of this, like, where are you going?
Except for the Kelvin verse where they run everywhere. But anyway, let us know in the comments section down below what you think. Add to the discussion. There's been a lot we talked about. There's probably a lot we missed. So let us know what you guys think about this kind of thing. And we hope to see you again soon. Please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell icon to all, which is all very important stuff. Helps us out.
Yes, lives. Always join the lives, guys. We love talking to you guys about all the things, all the bobs. And you can super chat if you want. That's nice. Join the channel if you want. That's nice. Patreon if you want. That's nice. One-time donation, that's nice. Or just laugh at Stuart's jokes. That's also nice. Oh, and last note, and use your buffer time to watch Trekyards. Boo.
Oh. Snap.
See you next time, guys.
Yeah, bye, guys.
Bye.